Hi there, I'm Rania. I'm a journalist and I come from Syria. You may remember me from this.
مالي عالمي بالأخير جوانا مجرد ساحة حرب بس عالمي يابا مالي ونايا.
Before we go any further, let's get some of the labels out of the way. So, I had to leave my city, Raqqa, because of the war. While I was on the run inside my own country, you can say I was an internally displaced. But when I crossed the border into Turkey, I became a refugee. When I arrived in Austria, I applied for asylum. While I was waiting for my asylum application to be approved, I was an asylum seeker. When Austria said yes to letting me stay, I was officially recognized as a refugee. I am too. But at the end of the day, what I wanted is to be safe. But really, I'm just Rania, a woman, person, daughter, journalist, sister, student, Game of Thrones fan, human being. So if you're a little unsure of what's facts and what's fiction about us, that's okay. I'm here to show you how the things politicians and media often say aren't necessarily true. Consider this as a handy guide you can pass on to your friends and family. Refugees are not fleeing from any real danger. Every day, all over the world, people make one of the most difficult decisions in their lives: to leave their homes in search for a safer, better life. There are many reasons why people around the globe seek to rebuild their lives in a different country. I'm talking about people forced to flee persecution or human rights violations such as torture, or the millions who flee from armed conflicts or other violence. For me, I fled because all I saw and heard for 5 years was bombs, gunshots, and killings. First from the Syrian regime and then from ISIS. As a woman, I was denied all forms of freedom. And then I had a gun held to my head by an ISIS member simply because I'm a woman and I wasn't covered enough. And then ISIS forced me to leave just because I'm a Kurd. People no longer feel safe and might have been targeted just because of who they are or what they do or believe in. For example, for their ethnicity, religion, sexuality, or political opinions. And you can see in the recent years, whether it's the Rohingya people fleeing Myanmar, the conflict in Syria, or people across Central America heading towards the US. People are not choosing to leave behind their home on a whim. So, help to debunk this myth by creating a positive and a welcoming attitude within your family and friends. Tell them what you know and spread the real news. Or, next time you hear something like that, ask them if they would like to go there.
Til Afghanistan?
Nei.
Nei.
Nei, egentlig ikke.
Nei, fra krig?
Det virker litt skummelt, egentlig.
They are coming to your country to take advantage of benefits and handouts. Before my home was hit by bombs and my community was torn apart by violence, we led normal lives. I was about to study medicine and I had dreams of finishing it all the way to my PhD. My friends had busy careers as doctors, shopkeepers, engineers. We had our own income and home. While not every refugee story is the same, most led independent lives before they were forced to leave home. We're not looking for government handouts and we do not jump the queue for benefits. What we're looking for is to find safety and regain our own independence again. Nach meiner Aufnahme als Flüchtlinge in Österreich habe ich Deutschkurse bekommen und dann gleichzeitig angefangen zu arbeiten und sich für Universität zu bewerben. Imagine to be in my situation. What I needed were the tools and advice to help me piece together the life I had before. And I do dream to go back to my country one day. I left my whole family behind in Syria, so the idea of never seeing them again is especially painful. If you think you want to help, check with your local organizations working with refugees, what they need, and donate. When I left, I had only a backpack and my important stuff, like my family pictures, my passport, my high school diploma, and just a pair of shoes. Sadly, I had to throw a lot of my things in the sea when I crossed to Greece by boat, including my Game of Thrones DVDs. You could also encourage friends, family to contribute, especially after birthdays or when they move to a new home and might be getting rid of unwanted gifts and items. Check these amazing kids in Canada.
For my 11th birthday, I decided to donate money to Safe Haven for Refugees because I wanted to make a difference.
For my birthday, I decided instead of presents, I told all my friends to bring money because I was donating. Miss Ben was sponsoring a family from Syria. I thought it would be a cool idea to help that family have a better life here in Canada than they did there.
Or you can offer a safe place. If you have a spare room or you're a landlord with a place to let, look online for organizations that match emergency, temporary, or permanent homes with asylum seekers and refugees. Refugees are flooding your country and it's a crisis. From the US and Mexico borders to the UK and Hungary, there is a constant fear pumped out in the media of a crisis on country borders around the world. But in reality, refugees are not flooding your country. And since 2010, people seeking asylum have increased of only 0.1% worldwide. So nothing new, I'd say. Also, 85% of world refugees are housed in developing countries in Africa and the Middle East, like Turkey and Pakistan. Europe, one of the richest continents in the world, hosts only 6%. And just to be clear, you may hear the word crisis a lot, but there isn't a real crisis of refugees. Sure, they may be fleeing crisis at home, but the real crisis is that politicians are refusing to help when they could easily share responsibilities between them. So add your voice to Amnesty's online actions supporting refugees. Amnesty is pushing for all countries, especially the wealthiest, to welcome refugees. It's easy for refugees to get into your country and be granted asylum. It's not. The process to claim asylum is incredibly tough, with multiple checks and left to wait for months. For me, for example, it took me 4 months until I got called for the interview with the judge. For many of my friends, it took up to 2 years. 2 years of not being able to do anything and left waiting in limbo. Which that means not being able to work or pay taxes. We all do want to work and pay taxes. And in America, you must go through the United Nations screening process, which requires extensive background information, interviews, and even iris scans. Less than 1% of those who apply pass to the next step. And if you do make it, you'll have to face stringent US security checks from the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and the National Counterterrorism Center, amongst others. Stringent. It's not a case of strolling across the borders, and if being granted asylum isn't hard enough, you then find yourself in a country you never ever planned to visit, never mind to live for the rest of your life. So, integration is crucial. Did you know that there are many ways you can welcome refugees in your town? For example, you can join or form a refugee sponsorship group. And if you're up for something different, you can always become a befriender, language teacher, career or legal advisors, and more. Volunteering can be a great way to get to know newcomers to your area and help them integrate. Knowing each other is the best way for an inclusive society. Even if I wanted to help, there's nothing I can do to help. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming what one person can do to help. But there's plenty you can do, from small to big. Like I said, spread your knowledge, be a volunteer, donate your unwanted gifts, help your community to integrate newcomers, add your voice to the millions who already welcome refugees. And lastly, share this video and use it to have a conversation with your friends. Together, we can create a better world. Can I do it? Okay, yeah. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel below. Share and like it and mention your friends.
You wanted to do it.
I love to do it. I want to have a YouTube channel just to say this.